Welcome back to another episode of the Bleav in Tigers podcast. I'm your host, RJ Schafer. Today I am joined by Connor Merecki. How are you doing today?
Been better, been worse.
Yeah, it
Little,
was kind of a disappointing day. Not that I was expecting us to win in some dominating fashion, but we had a series starting today against the Nationals that I thought was very winnable. Um, and we just came short.
I went in. It's a 3 game series, correct?
Yeah.
Or is I went? I thought we'd take 2 out of 3. Um, if Flaherty pitched today, I probably would have liked our chances more, but I definitely thought we were gonna at least drop one in this series. But today, just I did not think that was gonna be today.
Yeah, and well, kind of talking about getting the J Flair start pushed back. Kenta Maeda made his return today for the first time since his, last two pitch start, which
The
we
perfect
kind of
game.
didn't. Yeah, we kind of didn't really know what was gonna happen, because we had never gotten word on okay, is he going to the IL? So I was shocked really that he was gonna pitch today. I did not think it was gonna happen this early. Um, he wasn't he wasn't as bad as other outings. I think the control was worse, but I think pitches moved a lot more today. Like I think the splitter especially looked really good. And the slider he hung it a couple of times. But I mean he went 4 innings, 1 run, 4 walks. Wasn't really what I was looking for, but I didn't think it was horrible. I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. In his standard that we've seen all year, it wasn't terrible. The command was definitely you could definitely tell, especially early on, like the first 2 innings, he was kind of like laboring through it.
Yeah.
Just in his motion, everything, it just did not look right. And that led a lot of walks, a lot of just pitches ending up way out here or way down there. But he definitely looked outside of that, he definitely did look a lot better than say 2, 3 starts ago when he was getting rocked. But definitely, I liked what I saw. If he could just clean up the control, he could definitely build on this moving forward for sure. And it gave me a little slight, just slight bit of hope he can be what we wanted him to be when we signed him.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is kind of looking back at the season, I wonder if the injury was affecting him for a lot
Mhm.
longer than we know. Like, I wonder if the struggles were because of the injury or just purely because of age and he can't have his velo as high, the rev rate's not going to be as high. Um, so I think that break, or not break, having the one start where he threw two
Yeah.
pitches um, might kind of be fitting and might really help him in the future.
Yeah, it definitely. I could see it too. I mean, historically, he's bad in April and a
Yeah.
little bit into May. Historically, he's pretty bad. Was never that bad as we saw. He is bad, but you could see it his first 2 starts in May. He started to clean things up a bit. He was looking better. Like, all right, maybe here we go, and then boom, he gets rocked again, I, and then the injury. But and it's he's definitely I don't know what the word would be, but his game's just not going to be relevant in the modern MLB when you have pitchers pumping 95 to 100 consistently and guys just swinging freely for the fences. And he can't get away with his nastiness anymore. It's just not there
Yeah.
anymore like it was say last year, 2 years ago. Just isn't there anymore. So I think he's definitely past his part of really decent above average contribution. It will probably see an average to below average pitcher for like the next 2 years, which is unfortunate because we gave him like $24 million to be the 2 starter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget how dominant Kenta Maeda was in his prime.
Mhm.
Like every pitch moved a lot. You had no clue what was coming to you. And I think Pitching Ninja actually did a video on him
Yeah,
a while back, and the movement was ridiculous today. I think in comparison to any other game.
yeah, it was
And I
definitely the best I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't have like advanced analytics to see how much it moved. But you could tell that there was a lot more swing and miss today than any other
Yeah.
day. I kind of wish he had went farther into the game, and that's kind of getting into our next topic. They had to get into the bullpen early,
Hmm.
and Bo Brisky, who I'm not really sure how to feel about him this year, because he's kind of been on and off. He's kind of had his struggles,
Yeah.
but he came in, kind of got blown up straight off the bat, and when he came out, we were talking, a 3-run ball game.
Hmm. He's and Bo's always been like that. His debut, he remember his like first. I remember his first month in the big leagues in 22. He was good start, bad start, good start, bad start. He never really had that true consistency, and he found it for a little bit in the bullpen last year. That little bit of consistency, and then I think his injury in 22 also definitely put him back, and he sent him missing a lot of time in 23 too. And then he was just perfect. Most consistency I've ever seen from him in spring training. This year he was perfect. I loved it. And I think sending him down to Toledo did not help at all with his confidence,
Hmm.
especially, and I'm not hot topic, don't want to start anything, especially when you give Joey Wentz the final spot.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's a big confidence thing with him too, because you'll see it when he's on. He's on. You that Texas game, he's like, I want that. With AJ, he's like, I want this. I got this. He got it. And then today, you could see he's starting to get a little jumpy. When he started getting hit, started missing his spots. I think that it just took him right out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say, well, kind of talking about Tyler Holton,
Mm.
um, I think it's safe to say, besides Tyler Holton, Bo Brisky, when he's on, is probably one of the most confident pitchers in the entire
Oh yeah,
staff. Like
100%.
Brisky, when he's on, everything's hitting, and I don't know how to put it. He does not want to be stopped.
No, not at all.
But Tyler Holton kind of had, I guess you could call it a return to form game.
Mm.
He was amazing last year. Probably the best rookie reliever in the entire major leagues. And I think a lot of people shut him down as like, okay, he's just a lefty platoon guy. But he kind of showed that he wasn't today. He went two and 1/3, only one hit. The run was given to him, but obviously it wasn't earned.
Yeah.
And he had shutout stuff. And I kind of want to focus on him for a second because
Mm.
he is what I think, what Alex Lang was kind of supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
supposed to be this super confident pitcher that can pitch to righties and lefties, which Tyler Holton has evolved a lot in that. And the
Mm.
ERA number doesn't speak to how good he's been this season. Like, his whip is, I think, below .75. Like, it's
Yeah. It's
ridiculous.
yeah. And that
Um,
yeah. That
but
that Kansas City. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
He was dominating for a while too at the beginning
Hmm.
of the year, but that Kansas City outing, that is what just ballooned everything. That just horrible outing out there, and then that kind of knocked him off his game for like 3 more outings, and then you can see it. Didn't pitch for a while, and then once AJ put him back in, he's just been lights out.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of think, and maybe this is outrageous, but when Tyler Holton's on and Tyler Holton's confident and he's getting the pitches he want, like he did tonight, he's probably the most dominant in that bullpen.
Oh yeah.
Like even more than Foley when he's locked in, because
Mm.
it seems like nobody can get a hit off of him.
No. Tyler Holton, full confidence, full go is I'd say one of the best relievers in all of baseball, if I'm being completely honest here.
So I kind of have a follow up question for you then.
Hmm.
Do you think if he has kind of the dominant season that we're hoping that he has heading up to the All Star break, do you think he's a trade piece of the deadline?
I think he definitely, because he has what is it, 4 more years of 4 more years of team control.
Hmm.
I think he's definitely a hot commodity for other teams around the league looking for, the young lefty that can just pile drive a lineup. So I think they'll definitely get calls for him. But I don't think, unless it's the perfect price, that he's mixed in with somebody else for a big bat or something, that they're really, I don't think they'll move him.
So what would you want? Like what would the return have to be to give up Tyler Holden?
My hope would be a couple top 20 prospects and
Hmm.
someone's in a team's. Obviously, that's a hope, but realistically, one or two top 50 or top 30 prospects in an organization, or if you're going to package him with someone like Mark Canha, who's gone after the season, or someone who's on an expiring deal like Flaherty, definitely think you can get a top 15 prospect along with a serviceable above average MLB bat.
Yeah, in my hope is kind of the MLB bat because
Mm.
literally every infield position right now could use a bat. Like we could have
Yeah.
somebody at third, we could have somebody at short, second, and first. Um, I don't even think they have to be like all-star level or even 3, 4, 5 hitter. Like
Yeah.
they just need to be serviceable, above average hitter, 110 OPS plus,
Yeah.
be able to hit the baseball and look competent in a way.
Mm.
Because that's kind of what the Tigers have been missing this year.
They've
And
been
I,
missing that for a long time.
yeah, and I guess this is the question I wanted to ask to you, and kind of wanted to ask to everybody in the comments. Um, what do you think a return to form for this offense would look like? Because today, we had scored 4 runs. Granted, if that error from the Nationals never happens, you don't score 4 runs because
Yeah.
Green doesn't get to bat that inning. Um, but I kind of question what even is the ceiling of this offense. Like, is this what it looks like, or is there something else that has to happen before we can quote unquote return to form?
There's definitely we've definitely seen it a lot the last 3 weeks, what this offense can do outside of a few games where, 1-0, 2-1, basically the whole Texas series.
Yeah.
But we've definitely seen it that they can consistently put up about 4 or 5 runs a game. We've seen the explosions, 10, 13. I hate that I'm saying an 8-run game is an explosion, but we've definitely seen it. And it this team, it's really young, so it's easier to give them a pass, but it's also like you have Green, who's in year 3, you have Torque, who's in year 3 and he's down in AAA. You have Baez, who's $140 million not contributing. So you just, and I've always said it, you don't need like it'd be nice, but you don't need like a Juan Soto or an Aaron Judge. You need guys, and you touched on it before, 270 hitters, 110, 115 OPS plus, kind of guys that will consistently get you on base and can consistently drive you in runs. And, you don't need to score 8, 9 runs a game. It's amazing that we can't even expect a team to score 3 runs a game. You just need serviceable bats, mature bats to surround with your young core, to help them learn, to help them develop, where you can get your offense scoring 4 or 5 runs a game and your pitcher's not out there trying to blow his arm out to not overpower a lineup because the offense isn't giving him anything.
And I think we do have the luxury of having such good starting pitching and a really good bullpen
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes a lot of people do give a break to the offense. Like, oh, the offense doesn't need to be this good because if we can win by 1 run and Tariq Skubal goes 8 innings, no earned, like you're not going to need to score a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there is a lot of guys on this team who can be a lot better than they are, and maybe that's a testament to the coaching. Maybe that's a testament to park factors, and a lot of it we don't really know
Mm-hmm.
because Green hasn't been in the MLB for a very long time. Torque has struggled, but I mean, this is his third year, and Green is a guy who I think can be. I don't think he can be an MVP level player because
Yeah.
he's kind of too slow in the field to be
Yeah.
what I think is an MVP caliber fielder. But
Mhm.
he can definitely be a strong all star starting lineup kind of guy. And you have other guys like that too. Like I think Wencel Perez is really good. I think Mark Cannon is very solid. I think Torque can have a return to form. But it's looking for guys to play what I think is their peak, and that just hasn't happened at all this year.
Mhm. 100% too. And Green, he's shown the power this year a
Mm-hmm.
lot. He's shown the contact skills, but he's very, very streaky. Like he'll be one of the hottest hitters in baseball for 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks he's one of the worst hitters in baseball. He has to find, just like everyone else, he just has to find that middle ground, that consistency where he can, produce every game, where he's not, going on his 0 for 20 some stretches or his 21 for 50 stretches. And then you're like, well, what are we going to get? But in even Mark Canna, he was brought in to be own the zone guy, slap singles, own the plate, walk, get on base. He hasn't done a lot of that. Last I saw, his average is sitting around 230. His
Yep.
OPS is either just above or just below 700. So and he was raking early in the year, but somewhere down the line he just lost it. Somewhere in after the first couple weeks to a month of the season, he lost it, and then we've seen that with Perez. First month he was up here, he was mashing the ball, slapping doubles, triples, singles, few home runs. But then most of June, or I'd say, yeah, most of June and a lot of late May, we saw the regression.
Mm.
Obviously, they're figuring him out. The game's caught up to him. He just got to work through it. But we haven't seen him really try to work through it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And,
and I think it's kind of weird that we, as like a Tigers fan, as a Tigers audience, kind of look at Green and Perez as like two of the best hitters in the lineup.
mm,
I mean, these are guys who are just hitting above average OPS. Like
yeah.
like I looked at it, Can is around 720 OPS, and so is Perez.
Mm,
So I kind of just want to see like any kind of change, because I mean last year you saw Maton and Short, who are both gone now, who made drastic changes through the season and actually looked better towards the end of the season,
mm.
and you haven't seen that at all with really any hitters. So I wonder if maybe a coaching change, a hitting coach change is what's needed.
Definitely, I do think it should start being looked at. But
Mm-hmm.
we said the same thing with in 22 with Cool Ball. He was let go, and it looked better last year after a certain point. But after a certain point last year, players started getting consistent reps outside of Torque and Green. You had guys who were set line and Baez. You had guys who were set in the lineup every day. You could count on them playing. Their spot wasn't set, but you could count on them being in there. And then now you're just like, this year you're like, well, who's going to play? Guys are not getting those consistent reps where they can say, like Veerling, for example, he went on that like 5-8 game hot streak where he was the best hitter in baseball. Then he gets benched. And then you have guys who will play 2 days in a row, sit for 2 days in a row. Like it's is it a conditioning thing? Is it a over management thing from AJ? I have no idea, but it's the consistency of playing time that is going to play a big factor in the development of your star players.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to see a change, no matter what it is, whether it be hitters, whether it be the way we manage lineups, whether it be a new hitting coach,
Mm,
um, because you do have guys, and I guess we'll touch on this for a second because this was ridiculous. Riley Green, who's pretty much the biggest uprising star, if you know nothing about Tigers baseball, he's pretty much the future of the franchise besides Tariq School.
Hmm.
But he had a hit today with bases loaded, and I thought it was gone. The
Oh
wind
yeah.
was killing balls all day, but Riley Green, round second base, heading into third, throw comes in, way over his head, and then Riley Green gets waved home and he scores. I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen little league home runs. We've seen Miggy have a couple. I have never seen a little league grand slam in my
No.
history of watching baseball.
That was that was a first for me as well. Little league home runs, yeah, but grand slams, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, and I'm still so mad that they ruled it a triple and an error. Granted, I think that is the right call. I think it was 100% an error, but come on.
Yeah. It was definitely like when it came off the bat, I celebrated like it was about to be a home run.
Yeah.
And I saw it smack the base of the wall. I was like, dang. Well, couple runs score. And then that throw to third took that wild bounce, went to the wall or the whatever you want to call it. He starts racing home. And then he was slow when he first got up. I was like, oh, they're gonna gun him. And then a wild throw into the dugout. I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, it's a 3-run triple, but little league grand slam.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's a number on this. I don't know if Riley Green is as fast as he was last year. And I
No,
think it's
he's
because of the injury, but
yeah.
he kind of he doesn't I don't know what the term is, but he doesn't haul it like he used to.
Yeah, I saw something. I think I was looking at his Savant page 3 days ago. His sprint speed is down. I think it's about 2 feet per second this year.
And that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking on what was able to make Riley Green, score on that little league home run, the defense for both sides, really, Washington and Detroit,
Hmm.
was kind of sad to watch. You had the Riley Green error, which I thought was okay. He kind of got to the ball. It wasn't super impactful in the moment. And then you have the Kreidler. Is it Kreidler or Kreidler?
I think Kreidler.
Okay. You had the Kreidler error, which was, I mean, he was there at that ball. The green one I thought was, I wouldn't say acceptable, but it made a lot more sense. Kreidler, I mean, that's just a routine ground ball, and
Hmm.
and maybe it's the nerves because this is his debut.
Yeah.
And then you have the Jake Rogers, who never ever seems to pick a ball because he can block literally everything. Goes to pick a slider, kind of backhanded, and doesn't get it. And runners advance on the strikeout, which is kind of
Hmm.
unfortunate. But the defense has kind of, in most losses, been the struggle. And I kind of wanted to see your opinion on what level do you think this defense is at right now?
I'd call
Because
it a
it's tough. It's tough to think about.
it really is because they have the games where they look fantastic, then they have the games where they just suck.
Yeah.
I'd probably call them a slightly below league average defense. Um, and like you said, they overshadow most of the losses. The errors are just I I think we're towards the top in errors. I could be wrong,
I believe so.
and that's the one thing that we didn't do last year. We did not commit a whole lot of errors last year, and so at some point they just got to clean them up. But there's a lot of flash on this defense as well. We have diving catches left and right. We robbed 2 or 3 home runs alone on what was that, Sunday? And then Kreidler showed off the hops today. I mean, Baez is always doing some kind of magic trick, So they have the flash, but they also seem to show a lack of the fundamentals.
Hmm.
If they and same thing with the hitting, if they can just get back to the basics, back to the fundamental defense, fundamental offense, this would be a whole lot better of a baseball team.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've like preached. Like I just feel like literally the basics is all this team is missing because
Mhm.
all of what I like to call the extracurriculars, like the insane plays from Baez. Granted, he makes a lot of errors,
Mhm.
but that is because he is able to get to balls that no other player can get
Mhm.
to. Like it's not because he's a bad fielder or anything. Um, but I think there are so many things that this team is good at, and the things they are not good at are the basics. Like
Yeah.
being able to draw walks, it kind of seems to be a weakness for most players on these teams. Playing small ball, which could be a testament to kind of Hinch's play style. He doesn't like to play small ball a lot,
Yeah.
but not a lot of shortened swings, not a lot of what we saw the Brewers did to us. Like every swing was short and quick to the ball, and they dominated our pitching. And I kind of just want to see something similar out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, 100%. And I said the same thing couple or couple days ago. Um the You could see it instantly right
Mm-hmm.
when that first at bat for the Brewers happened. They were one of them. They were fundamentally sound.
Mm-hmm.
They were they instantly they stepped in the box and they mentally took command of that at bat. They were aggressive when they needed to be, but for 90% of those at bats, they own the zone, short compact swings, driving through the ball, not trying to push it up, not trying to push it down. And they just looked like what hitters are supposed to look like.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to pimp home runs. They weren't being overly confident with everything. They just stuck to the fundamentals of baseball, the fundamentals of hitting, and they just rocked us.
Yeah. And talking about fundamentals, this is our last big topic for today. But I kind of wanted to talk about this because this has been itching, scratching my mind for a while. The extra inning strategy, and Chris Castellani made a post earlier today talking about. I don't know if the Tigers have won at Comerica Park since the new extra inning rule has been enacted, and maybe like there has been a couple of times, but I feel like the record at Comerica is really bad, and
Yeah.
Chris Castellani kind of pointed that out. The strategy in extra innings almost seems, I don't want to say incompetent, but it's kind of ridiculous, and I think management right now they're just not scared to bunt,
Mm.
but maybe you know maybe the analytics say okay you should swing at the first X amount of pitches and then do this, but I think the extra inning strategy, especially since I mean the past like 2 years, has kind of been ridiculous because I don't think there's been any time that I can recall in a Tigers game, at least at Comerica, where they had, bunted. And we saw what happened with the Nationals. Like they bunted, got them into third and scored them.
Mm.
Um, I kind of wanted your opinion on this because this has been something that I'm really passionate about, and I do like AJ Hinch, and I think he is an amazing manager and does a lot of things that other managers will refuse to do. But I think maybe the extra inning strategy needs to evolve with the times, and it kind of hasn't.
Yeah. You kind of touched on what it basically said what I was going to say. They don't seem very concerned with advancing the runner as
Yeah.
soon as possible. I mean, I had the game off. I was doing other things, so I didn't exactly see our part of the 10th, but so I'm not really entirely sure who batted, but you really do. You have to just, I don't care who's on second. You have to at least try to move a runner. You have to at least try to get in a better scoring position. They just don't seem to want to do that. And I've coached baseball before. I've coached little league teams. Granted, we don't really bunt a whole lot or extra innings or whatnot, but we've kind of I've kind of touched on it with them, and same as the other coaches. You have to do what you feel is right, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to tell a 9-year-old, hey, bunt the ball down the first baseline, get that guy to third or whatnot. But we tell them do whatever you can to win the game, even if it means sacrificing your stats, hurting your own individual stats. You have to do what helps your team. And it just seems like AJ's trying too hard to outmanage the other team. And it really hasn't paid off to him.
Yeah, and granted, I'm going to say this again because I just want to make this 100% clear. I am a big fan of AJ Hinch as a
Oh, yeah, me
manager,
too. Yeah.
but there's just some certain aspects, and this is for a lot of managers around the MLB. Like, this is not Hinch at all,
Mm,
not just Hinch. I think I think the game needs to adapt with the times because this brand new rule, which granted I'm not a huge fan of it. I think the idea of having a runner on first is a much better idea than a
mm,
runner on second. But I think managers in the MLB just kind of need to not only adapt with the rules, but adapt with the times because baseball is
yeah.
always going to evolve, no matter if there's any rule changes. Like there's going to be new strategies here and there, and that is literally the only area where I think Hinch struggles as a manager. I think
Yeah.
bullpen management he's solid, and I think bringing in pinch hitters, you know, working with the matchups, I think he's solid.
Mm,
But this is the only area where I kind of clench my teeth during the game and not stress about it, but it's just not fun to watch sometimes.
yeah. 100%. And I know too that they invested a lot into the analytics department either
Hmm.
last year or the year before. They've done revitalizing all of that. It just seems like he uses it for everything except situational hitting with the game on the line. You'll see it. He'll pinch hit Kerry Carpenter for Zach McKinstry when there's a lefty on the mound. It just a lot of things just he does. They just don't make sense to me. I love AJ. I've always been a fan of him, but this year and quite a bit of last year, he's just made so many head scratching decisions that like defy what you should do in those situations.
Yeah, and I don't know, and maybe this is more of a testament to just baseball in general and managers in general, but it in it and it seems like each manager has its own thing. Like some managers are gonna leave starters out too long, which Hinch does a really good job with that.
Mhm.
But some managers leave guys out for 8 innings just because they have 10 strikeout or 9 strikeouts and they're about to get 10 and oh he needs to get his 10 strikeouts. But I mean that's pretty much all we had for you today. Kind of looking forward to the series because this is still a winnable series with two decent pitchers on the mound and a Nationals lineup who, despite despite their struggles, they've been decent at times.
Mhm.
But just to do kind of the housekeeping, if you are listening on podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, just give us a review, let us know what we're doing. Be sure to follow Connor on Twitter and give us subscribe to the Motor City Council podcast. They do
Thank
one
you.
weekly. Talk about all Detroit sports. Right now, it's mostly Tigers. Talk about anything sports. But did you have any last words you wanted to bring in?
Just win this dang series and
Excellent.
continue to push for that wild card.
Yep, that's all we had for you. Um, be sure to let us know how we're doing. Um, and if you have any words on how you thought this episode was, please let me and Connor know. Um, but yeah, great day. Go Tigers.
Go
And
Tigers.
we'll see you tomorrow.